You're listening to The Power of Sound on Boombox Music Talk. Boombox, Deconstructing, Cowboy Bebop, and go.
It was so good. I guess that's what happens when you have 2 beers, country music, and a dude that knows how to dance.
Welcome to Boombox Music Talk. I'm Mark.
And I'm Krish.
And today on The Power of Sound, we are deconstructing the iconic theme song by renowned composer Yoko Kanno, I think is how you say it, from the hugely popular show
Hugely
Cowboy
popular.
Bebop. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's down.
It's the talk of all of our 6 degrees.
I love that anime is starting to get some notoriety here in the States finally. You know, people... I mean, like, why did it take so long to realize it's just another art form? Like, it's so dumb. Like,
well, I think
we had Looney Tunes in that style was like, that's what people thought animation was in America for so long.
Yeah, it was. And, well, it wasn't, but that was the perception.
Right.
And,
well, it was
which
here.
is unfortunate. Yes. Unfortunate because if you focus on just the art, then maybe it could be perceived that way. But if you consider the plot and the writing and the stories, there's so much unique depth to, you know, the good ones. Obviously, they're
the good ones. The ones I'm thinking of are.
The ones I'm thinking of.
No, well,
we can just go
again, it's a variety, though, right?
Yeah.
So there's literally, it's not just it's not Looney Tunes.
Right.
It's
there's
like,
something for everyone, and it's not a generic thing that everyone is going to like. It's each unique version or story,
which is what is interesting about this topic today. That partly why I thought it would be fun to hop on and talk about it is the theme song is very jazzy, right?
Yes.
And to me, we even joked about it on the episode with Nate Nash about there being 5,000 different genre categories, right?
Yes.
And you and I talk about all kinds. We love all kinds of different styles, and
try to break it down, and it's hard.
But even still, I limited jazz to a specific kind of sound of what I knew jazz to be.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fair either.
Well, it was a
because
limited
there's a lot of variety of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz music has this kind of unique mystique among musicians. To classical musicians and rock guitarists alike, it can seem like this complex, otherworldly art form that breaks all the rules you've learned so far about music. I'm Dean DeMarzo from Paul Effman Music, and I want to demystify some of the stuff around jazz. Jazz can mean a lot of different things to different people because there are just so many subgenres. The first thing that comes to mind when I say jazz is probably the big band swing of the 30s or the bebop of the 40s, but jazz is so much more than that. There's Latin jazz like the bossa nova and the samba. And the jazz fusion of the 80s. And there's all kinds of crazy new subgenres coming out literally every day.
Big time.
Well, and I don't feel like it was very popular, or at least we weren't exposed to the popular avenues, jazzy avenues that we could have learned to appreciate that,
that's
you
true.
know. So we were kind of late bloomers, or at least
All
I
we got was the Looney Tunes. So
Yeah.
So why would we think there would be anything different?
Right. And it's quirky and goofy.
All we
and
hear
great.
is that jazz, so that's it. Sorry, what?
No, I was just gonna say that I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Well, you're talking about the different styles.
Oh, yes, that we weren't exposed to those different nuances and different styles. What we had been exposed to was quirky and goofy, and we were like,
I mean, just play the right notes.
you know, so hearing it in a much bigger and also different type or different style of jazz.
Yeah.
It's not a
tumor.
a sound. It's not a static sound. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very broad type of sound.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot with it. It's versatile. You can, it's very different. But it is, at least what I've been exposed to, it's fun in all different kinds of ways, depending upon what, style or what way it's applied.
Well, I think you had a really good point about it being it's like an importer exporter issue too. Like growing up in Texas, in the United States, we didn't have, it was the Art Vandelay of it from Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, because Art and I were getting into this whole thing about his business. He's an importer-exporter. Yeah. George felt that I was too adamant in my stand that Art should focus on the exporting and forget about the importing.
Wait a minute, I thought that Art wanted to give up the exporting.
What did I say?
We didn't have anime
I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really alive.
or jazz.
And we didn't have an outlet anyway. We didn't have a radio station. We didn't have, much exposure to culture that involved jazz. So, what we heard.
Again, though, still, what's funny about what I just said, what we're talking about right here, about that being exposed to it and not being around, it still was around. Maybe just you and I weren't, because Stacy talked about his dad being a band conductor and being in a band, and Kirk talked about his grandfather and them being real into swing, and that was the thing.
Swing.
They danced a lot.
Yeah.
So obviously it was around. We just didn't have the exposure because I wouldn't have called that jazz though before.
Yeah.
Swing to me, I wouldn't have called it jazz, but I think it technically is kind of. It's all
it is.
wrapped up
I
in
think
the jazz.
it is. It's. I think it's bass on, and I always literally just called it swing.
Yeah.
Like I never.
Swing's
Same
so
thing.
good. I remember discovering it though, man.
So
Zoot
fun.
Riot, Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
I know.
Who's that whispering in the trees? It's two cities and they're only pipes and chains and swinging hands. Who's your daddy? Yes, I am. That cat came to play. Now you can't run fast enough. You best stay away when the pushers come to shove. Zoot, zoot, riot. Throw back a bottle of beer. Zoot, zoot, riot. I'm gonna look home through your cold black hair.
I wish that's one of the types of dancing I kind of wish that I had,
We're not discovering it with him, but when it made a comeback, right?
Yep. I kind of wish I had learned to dance, swing dance.
I always wanted to learn how to swing dance.
It was
I think
so much fun.
We probably could have done it when we were, not when we were human. Now we're, over 40, you're not human anymore.
No.
You're a different hybrid.
You are. You start to become biomechanical at that point.
You know what 40 is? 40 is, hey, guess what? Now you can do 40% less shit that you used to be able to do.
Yeah. So true.
Decrease all of a
sudden. It happens overnight, too. Yeah, you wake up and you're like, what the fuck happened to me?
You don't go from 100 down to 60.
Somebody hit me with a truck?
What happened to 90, 80, and 70?
Yeah, exactly.
I went from hardcore to no core.
Yeah, it's true.
I miss parkour altogether.
Okay, we all go together or we go one at a time.
Here it is. Truck to refrigerators to dumpster, 360 spin onto the palace, backflip gainer into the trash can.
Yeah.
Hardcore, parkour! Parkour! I'm right behind you, Andy! Come on! Yeah! Parkour.
Oh man, that would have been so much fun too, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
But the closest experience that I had to swing dancing was I went to a country club one night and like with some girlfriends, and like a country western club, I guess I should say, not like a country club.
Yeah.
So this kind of dorky guy asked me to dance. It was pretty adorable, really. So I told him, I was like, okay, look, well, I just got here, and so I'm going to hang with my girlfriends for a bit. I'm going to have a couple beers because I need to loosen up.
Yes.
And so anyway, I did go. He didn't believe me, actually, at first. He was like, yeah. And I'm like, no, really, I'll come find you. I promise. As soon as I finish my second beer. Second beer, that's the loosen up point. At least, I'm not buzzing, but I'm just like not wigging either.
Yeah, right.
So, because I'm an introvert. So, anyway, so I go back to him and I'm like, hey, so is the offer still up for a dance, And
you're like, I need to be somewhere in between wigging and buzzing. Dance.
Well, I think normal people call that normal.
Like Alan Watts, what does he call them? Prickly. What does he call them? Like the people in the world, they're like squishy and prickly. Oh,
I haven't heard that, but I would love to hear it. I can't wait till you insert that clip.
Insert clip here.
Cut.
There are basically two kinds of philosophy. One's called prickles, the other's called goo. And prickly people are precise, rigorous, logical. They like everything chopped up and clear. Goo people like it vague. And they're always arguing with each other. But what they don't realize is that neither one can take his position without the other person. Because you wouldn't know you advocated prickles unless there was somebody else advocating goo. You wouldn't know what a prickle was unless you knew what goo was. Because life is not either prickles or goo, it's gooey prickles and prickly goo. And they go together like back and front, male and female. And that's the answer to philosophy.
So anyway, he was like, yeah, he was super enthusiastic about it. And I was like, what am I getting myself into, right? This guy had been trained in country, he had taken classes, and done a professional, tour. I had no idea. Okay, and I don't dance, I am not trained.
Yeah.
I have a very, very...
yada, yada, yada. I broke my leg.
Thankfully not, because I think I wore reasonable shoes that day. But anyway, so I have a hard time with dancing in general.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
When it's couple dancing, because I have a hard time letting the other person lead.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it just feels weird to me. It feels unnatural. I guess I should just always be the leader. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's why I had to have the couple of beers, because I didn't want to look awkward out there like that, trying to fight the lead. So anyway, we're just going around and around, and I just went with it. I just totally relaxed, and I just let him do his thing, basically. And he was twirling me in circles and doing this whole number, and I was like, oh my god, that was so much fun. And he was like,
you're like, can we do it again? He's like, that'll be another quarter. Gotta ride the ride again.
Oh my gosh, so he was like...
all of a sudden you're 6 again. Twirl me, twirl me.
Twirl me, twirl me. I know, that's exactly I guess that's what happens when you have 2 beers, country music, and a dude that knows how to dance, because it was a lot of fun. And it was kind of a similar, though, obviously modified, but a similar style to swing dancing.
Swing dancing,
it was
right.
that
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
You know what I mean? And it was so much fun. And while I didn't have, I wasn't there looking for a date or anything, I told him that. I was like, look, that was a lot of fun. I might pursue, learning how to dance in the future like this, because it was very energetic. It was not, I don't just necessarily want to, I know how to waltz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But that's the same repetitive, when it's very specific music, and you know what I mean? Which is fine. I mean, I guess you can kind of waltz with anything, but it's the swing or, country dancing that's kind of based on that was different. It was refreshing, it was a different kind of. So I imagine swing would be a lot of fun. And that's one reason why when I had that experience and then learning more about swing and watching more of that, it was just the connections I made. It looked like it would be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. To bring it back around to the themes, right, that we're talking about, and jazz and bebop and all this stuff, I thought it was fun to rediscover, because I had watched Cowboy Bebop, long ago, back when it first came on Adult Swim. Which we'll touch on that in a little bit, but I don't know, that idea of those theme songs, it was kind of interesting, that journey that it went on, where
were you as interested back then about theme songs? Like, did that capture your interest in terms of the anime specifically?
I don't think it did,
time?
Because it seemed like it was at about the same time that, and maybe it was a little earlier than that, but like around when Lost came out, and they were like, they kind of said, don't worry about the theme song. Remember? It was just that little...
Where they would have, a lot of just ambient sounds, but not necessarily music all the time.
It was just one ambient sound, the same sound every time. That did that little thing. That was it. And it only lasted like 5 seconds or whatever, and that was their theme song. Yeah. And I felt like that was about the time in the early 2000s where people were like, all right, we've been doing themes for a while. We're kind of tired of it. Don't worry about themes anymore.
Yeah.
And then... around like, say, Game of Thrones, remember? And now theme songs started getting cool again.
Well, just cool anthemic intros, and epic and cinematic, and like they became as big as the modern creative, like the intros to the shows themselves.
Yeah.
They finally were matching the passion of the creativity.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like in some areas, or some, not areas necessarily, but some industries that sort of kind of took a back burner or whatever, or not some industries, maybe some aspects of films or different types of medias like that,
Yeah.
That's, you're experiencing that media visually, and if you have hearing, then why not make a comparative sound, or intro as you would to the visual if you want to make an impact, It's like a first impression, right?
Yeah.
That sound and that visual is going to make that. Well, finally they caught up to each other, because a lot of things would have a fantastic, visual intro, like that one show that you watch, is it Star Trek Discovery or whatever at night. That intro song is very different than what you're seeing.
For
visually.
Enterprise?
Yeah. Oh, Enterprise.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Not Discovery. Enterprise.
It's been a long road getting from there to here. It's been a long time, but my time is finally near. I will see my dream come alive at last. I will touch the sky, and they're not gonna hold me down no more. No, they're not gonna change my mind.
Yes.
And you're like, wait, what? This seems like a different show.
No, I like the Discovery one. That one's different.
Yeah, that one's good.
But the one for Enterprise is
it's quite jarring.
It's it's almost like the wrong song was accidentally picked for that, you know, intro. And finally now we've kind of, I feel like...
I asked for juxtaposition, not indecision.
That's what it feels like, but finally we've caught up, and this is part of what's exciting about, you know, the anime.
Yeah. Well, and so...
But I was just curious if that was always an interest for you, specific to anime, or if that came later on.
I don't think it was right at the beginning. And then once I understood that for a lot of anime, it was a big deal. Like in Japan, the anime opening themes and like those artists go out and will perform those things because it's so big, you know.
As we saw in that quartet that we went to see.
Oh, right. The Lo Stesso String Quartet. Yeah.
Of the anime.
Yeah, exactly.
Songs.
and so once I discovered that, I was like, oh, okay. And then I think I started paying attention a little more to it.
Like it was an actual part of the story, too.
Well, and also what's funny about that is really Ghost in the Shell.
I'm a soldier, значит я и ответчик, и судья. Я стою на двух концах огня.
When that show finally came out through Adult Swim, like in the early 2000s, that was the cool thing about Adult Swim, going back to our conversation about not having access to stuff.
Right.
Adult Swim changed the game because before then it was just too expensive to go try to buy anime and get your hands on it, that now we finally had access to more than just one. You know, they had a few of them on there. And once I got Ghost in the Shell, I was like, this is legit. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. But the themes, like here, I'll play just a piece of the opening theme for the one that came out in the early 2000s.
The Cowboy Bebop?
No, this is
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. There's something so fun about it.
Almost has like a Middle Eastern
it's an or Russian or like what's
it might be a mix. A little bit Celtic, maybe.
Yeah.
Turkish, maybe.
Is that a violin, a viola, or a cello?
It's a piccolo. It's fun, though. It does sound like a fusion of a lot of different...
It does.
...influences. I like it, though. That's cool.
So, I started taking notice just because Ghost in the Shell had some awesome music. Now, Yoko didn't write that, but she did the score for Ghost in the Shell. And it was phenomenal.
For the movie?
No, for the show.
Oh, the show.
Yeah, for the anime. I don't know if she did. They might have brought her back for the anime, for the movie too. I have to look at that. I bet she did. But it was one of the first ones I watched where like I took note of the score too, or I was like, this is outstanding. It's great. Well, I say first ones. I didn't have that many to watch.
And outstanding, before. Like literally, like it stood out.
Yeah,
like it captured and
interest,
wrapped you up.
Yes. And
so, like, here you go. We're going on this ride.
Yep. And so to answer your question, I think around that same time, the themes and just score in general, I really started taking a real big interest into, and that might help fuel some of the interest in score now, to be honest.
Yeah.
'Cause I started just realizing that, yeah, this is animation, but these people are brilliant composers. Like the scores that they come up with. And for her, I just started keep seeing her name around. And there was a show called Wolf's Rain that came out. I don't know if you ever remember seeing when you watched that one, where it's these, it's like a pack of werewolves basically, and they're trying to live, you know, around humans too.
Yeah.
So they don't want people to know that that's what they are.
Right.
And it's really fun. It's really fun. But I kept the score in it. It would have these super fun kind of quirky things, but then it would have these big sweeping melodies of strings and just epic feelings where I was like, this sounds like Hollywood cinema.
Yeah.
And it's this anime. Like that's the care that they put into it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I totally love that too, because why would you not incorporate, you know, if you were to go see an orchestra play or even a concert, just any concert where they're playing live instruments, those convey the emotion of that moment. Why would you not also attach that, you know, same care and passion to that experience as well? You know, the anime, I mean, the type of art that it is very intricate, you know?
Right.
And so every little thing means something in those. And I love that.
So why should the music not reflect that?
Exactly.
You know? But, well, the why not is that it costs money.
Well, that's
these
true.
Are people that know what they're doing. They're not.
Well,
the
and with the digital
thing, right?
age
so good.
and technology now, the production, you know, the cost of production, the capital is far, you know, less, because now you can do more without necessarily. Yes, obviously live is better, but you can do more with being able to, you know, make the layers happen. You don't have to hire people necessarily to play specific parts for you, or, you know, come in and play pieces just so you can hear what it sounds like. Like now you have a computer or a keyboard that you can program specific ways, and you can be, your just creativity level is going to explode at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, whenever that one came on, I think that's when her name started really popping up for me. Within Wolf's Rain, and there was the closing song, right? The closing theme. Mm-hmm. I'll play a piece of
like
it.
The outro or whatever.
Yeah. And I think it's so funny how there's so many things throughout doing this podcast that we start to realize that really do stem from childhood, like little things that lock you into an idea.
Like Robert Anton Wilson's reality tunnels, right? Like imprinting and all that stuff.
We all perceive a different world because our brains are organizing it according to patterns the brain has created to organize. And those patterns seem to be created, at this date it appears they are created, by our genetic programs, by our early imprints, by our subsequent conditioning, by our learning, and by whatever experiments we have done in reprogramming our nervous systems.
Just
that you don't even realize.
Obscure ideas too, you know,
like
just little things like this. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so listen to this. Listen to how this theme song starts. This is the theme song for Wolf's Rain.
It sounds so. I feel like I've seen that. I would definitely like to watch it again.
All right, particularly listen to how it starts. The piano in it, I think, or something like that. Well, it's going to do some strings for a second.
I'm okay with that.
And you can't ever argue with that. He's going to do some calming strings first. Fuck you! Turn that off! Never said anybody. But anyway, when the song starts, ready?
So simple.
Right?
It's
that
so
simplicity
emotional.
of a repeating note is just
so much.
It says so much. You don't need so much, but when that melody kicks in, it just is overwhelming almost off of that single.
Yeah.
Plus, it's good too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's good. That part right there where it goes. Okay, so what's funny about this though is that so that was written by Yoko, right? And it's these little things where I'm like, maybe had this not happened, I wouldn't even really have concentrated on her and know who she is or anything. But as soon as I heard that off of Adult Swim, one reason why I was hooked is because when I was a kid, I fucking loved.
Yeah,
it was a Flutterby for sure.
The Flutterby.
So then I took a step back even from that, and I was like, why is that? One of the other reasons is I used to sit around watching Days of Our Lives with my mom all the time, right?
Uh-oh.
And this was the soap opera that came on after Days of Our Lives, I believe.
That's hysterical. Which one is that?
Young and the Restless.
The Young and the Restless. There was that, As the World Turns.
Yep.
And then General Hospital.
Yep.
There's a lot of soap operas. But yes.
That's all that same pattern.
How funny.
That back and forth.
It does sound very cinematic, though, now that I hear just this.
Yeah. That little, first of all, at the beginning, it's just that one note repeating. And then when it does the back and forth thing, just like Cold as Ice.
That's so funny. Yes, so that's your lullaby.
It is. It is.
One of them.
I think it's the same reason I liked this song.
How did you find all these?
I just thought of them when I heard it.
How many times have I sung this song to you?
I know.
That's so funny.
That same simple little repeating pattern.
And I never realized that before either. That's so funny.
And what I think is fun about that too is I feel like from some of the things I've read and watched of her, is she seems to take that same kind of approach too, like wrapped up in all this fancy jazz and cool, like complicated stuff.
Classical.
She keeps it real simple. She doesn't overcomplicate it.
Yes.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Like, is there a reason? And she approaches, I think you maybe saw that in that little behind the scenes making of when they're talking about doing the reboot. She, a lot of times, she doesn't just go write score like some people. She wants to wait and see the scene and write something for that scene.
Specific.
And sometimes it'll feed back and forth. Like the directors will be like, I love what you're doing there. And they'll tweak something or it's a back and forth process. But she doesn't overcomplicate it to begin with. It might get complicated for fun.
Right.
But anyway,
I love that
that's
because
her approach. Even her voice was uncomplicated.
I know. Like her whole way.
Her whole vibe.
And it's kind of
very
funny.
zen.
Yeah. But she takes the kind of less is more approach, where until, obviously the additions of the fun stuff
Which
later.
Is funny. Think about the theme song for Cowboy Bebop, and it's very complicated.
Complex, right.
But it's based on that bass line, which is just kind of simple in what it is.
But it's based on the emotion, too, of the scene.
Well, yes,
not
exactly.
just the emotion, but also, like, what's going on in the scene. Because if you don't... And I always wonder that about composers, too, writers, that... Like, if you don't know, especially for visual media, if you don't know what you're writing and someone just gives you a prompt like this emotion or gives you a description of the scene, but you haven't seen it yet, like I would find it, I think, I've never tried it, but I think I would find it difficult to write like that.
Yeah.
If I was writing for a visual media, I feel like I need to visualize that. I need to see this. I need to consume this media. I need to feel this media. Yes, the other input is important too. I need to hear that too. Give me that.
But isn't that what's so fun about art?
It is. It's so interpretive.
It gives and takes though too. Like you can say that you would rather do it that way, right? But what happens if that director wants to build the scene around a feeling? If you think about one of our favorite scores ever, Interstellar, Hans Zimmer.
I absolutely agree.
It was very important to me that the music not pay any attention to the genre of the film. What I wanted to do was to engage Hans in a very pure creative process.
I was working on a completely different movie, and Chris said to me, if he were to write one page of something, and he wouldn't tell me what the movie was about, but he'd just write one page, would I give him one day, and just whatever came to my mind, I would start writing.
I think what that did for him is it set him very firmly in a direction relating to the heart of the film. I mean, I listened to it extensively while I was finishing writing the script, and then when we were in production as well.
Christopher Nolan went to him and asked him to go write something, and he gave him some kind of prompt, right? Like you were just saying, but it wasn't super detailed.
Right.
Just enough to
just
get
wanted trusted his creative pattern.
And sat down at that big ass organ and came up with Interstellar, and it's so
phenomenal
good.
And so simple.
And it works though for the movie so well, because now Christopher Nolan had something to shoot to, kind of. So it's interesting that symbiotic process of that. You don't see that as much though. I think most of the time they score to the scene, I'm sure.
It requires a lot of trust because you have
Hans has built that, so.
I mean, yes. But I'm just saying, like,
what have you done again?
Can I see your portfolio? He's like,
$2 and it only transports matter.
Yeah, right.
What? This is brilliant. You're going to question this? But
yeah.
Yes, I know what you're saying, though. It's big time trust.
I mean, and I guess that's where cost factor can kind of come into play. But the thing is like, if you trust the composer, right, or if you have a certain appreciation for a specific composer, you can give them your trust and say, here is my project, here is my vision. I want you to convert this and convey it through your perception of the input that I've given you. Because I love whatever blah 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 that you've done previously. I can identify whatever it is.
I have enough faith in that, what you did before.
Your creative process, or just your sound in general, like, let me give you this and let's see what happens with this. What a fun job, by the way.
Well, and that's, unfortunately, a lot of people don't get a lot of credit in the creative process of anything that you do that takes more than one person, unfortunately. We've joked about it before of how I've written songs and then we get off stage and somebody goes and tells Drew, hey, I really like that song that you wrote.
Say you do or say you don't, it doesn't matter much to me. I'm so beyond the breaking point that I cannot feel a thing. But just maybe you can save me if I wake up. Will we make up? I don't wanna hurt, but I don't wanna be alone.
Well, it's because you have to have kind of a funnel, but at the same time, there's always more collaboration than what you think is going on.
Right.
We get so fixated on this director directed that thing, and isn't that great? And well, yes, it does take that. I'm not taking anything away from them. However, every piece of that puzzle that they brought in there, who your cinematographer is, your composer, your set designer, your prop designer,
all those things
costume,
matter.
All that matters. It's
Makes
all a creative
huge
process.
Impact. And if one part of that fails, then it is not a smoothly rolling wheel.
And I think that's one thing that I was about to say. And I think that's one thing that makes Star Wars really cool. I was like, in any conversation at any given time, I can just tie it back, because George Lucas did that.
He forgot we're not doing a Star Wars podcast.
He was the creator,
funny.
But the reason why so much about Star Wars is because he gave so much props to all the people around them that were helping doing all this, legendary new stuff at the time, right? Anyway, So, real quick, so we can get on to the topic at hand, which is deconstructing the theme.
Which is not Star Wars.
Well, we've been deconstructing the theme. There's different ways to do this, which is what we've been talking about. Different ways to do things. There was different jazz than one type of jazz that I don't know why I thought that was so dumb. Speaking of jazz, what was funny is then after I had discovered her and all these new things and it kept growing and then went back, the original anime that I really watched, like I caught a few things when I was younger, but when I was an adult and I finally was like, I really want to check out some anime. First one I got into that I could find in the store that I could buy was this show called Razafon. You've seen me put it on before. And it's so funny. Like at the time, I just thought the design of the characters it's kind of a mecha. Mecha is like robot. You know what that is, right? Like that genre of anime. It's like big robots that people get inside and they move around.
It's
right?
like a different version of steampunk.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, kind of
biomechanical steampunk.
Yeah, a little bit. And so I just like the way the characters look. And once I got it, I realized that. So there's this race of people called Mu, and they have blue blood and all this stuff. Anyway, they control these mecha that are made from clay. They're called dolems, which is goes with our ancient
it's like a golem.
Stuff that we study. Right,
that's what
exactly.
a golem is.
Yeah. And what they
Similar
do
sound
is
too.
they use, speaking of sound,
On our Power of Sound show, we love diving deep into the mystery of music, sound, and vibration, and their impact on our hearts, minds, and realities. And that impact can be seen and felt in many ways, whether to levitate objects, to heal the human body, or even as a weapon. Now, we don't often think of sound as a real tangible thing that can be felt. But don't take my word for it. You can ask my old cat, Moses, who discovered that firsthand one day while walking by the subwoofer in my stereo and jumping 10 feet in the air after being attacked by that air rushing through the porthole. And from that day forth, he was mesmerized by this invisible force. Now imagine that on a grand scale, and it's easy to see how one can weaponize the use of sound. To display an example of this, here's a clip from one of our favorite shows, Ancient Aliens.
Approximately 17 miles northeast of Jerusalem lies the ancient ruins of the city of Jericho. Here, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of settlements dating back to 9000 BC. According to the Hebrew Bible, Jericho is believed to be where God spoke to Joshua, the successor to Moses, and instructed him to march around the walled city once every 6 days with 7 priests carrying ram's horns, and followed by the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest containing the 10 Commandments. Then, on the 7th day, under orders by God, Joshua and the Israelites marched around the perimeter of the city one last time. But this time, they blew the ram's horns. The walls of Jericho fell, and the city was sacked.
They use sound to attack and destroy,
manipulate,
and like sometimes the actual mecha things will. What did it say? I don't know if I've got it down here or not, but some of them would make the sound, and some of them the being in the thing would make the sound. Anyway, point being that it was music based, and they were the whole point of the move is they wanted to tune the world.
Oh, interesting.
They were trying to take over and stuff,
right.
But in that, she was the composer.
Oh, interesting.
Well, actually, sorry. She didn't compose it. She composed the theme song. which is an early talking about themes. Like
Right.
at that point, I think even back then, I was like, this is actually pretty cool. But then the score of it is very jazz though. Like, and that's when I started discovering that, there's a lot of jazz stuff in anime, and it's real funky and swanky and
fun and almost kind of like mysterious.
I didn't know what to make of it.
Mysterious. I like that.
And very good point, because it's associated a lot of times with like noir.
Noir, yes, exactly. It's,
Isn't that interesting how that all goes together like that?
It is.
Feeds each other.
It's like it's fun because it is kind of noir. It's mysterious like that. It's
which
tiptoeing in the night.
Yeah. Well,
kind of.
a minute ago we said something about The Incredibles. Michael Giacchino,
Mischievous.
right? Which is more that in your face, but it's still James Bond kind of like, spy. It's
but it's
noir
fun.
spy,
It's
same kind of thing, right? You're
swingy.
detective.
It's swanky though.
Yeah.
But it's like mysterious. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But we say it's fun. However, I've never been a big jazz person. I've never wanted to just put it on and listen to it.
Same.
In anime, it's kind of helped me have this appreciation back then, the initial appreciation. Then I kind of fell out of it where I was just like, it's jazz. Just play the right notes,
Just play the right notes.
And it wasn't until, which was funny.
I think a lot of that's freestyle though, right?
It
That
is.
You probably weren't as
that's part of jazz is the improvisation.
Right. And that's
Speaking
what
of
this
improv and noir. Every time I think of noir, I always makes me think of whose line is it? When Ryan and Colin
have
did
to do
little,
those. Yes,
those little scenes,
almost like speakeasy scenes or whatever.
So I knew he was lying.
But it's
and he was
music.
really a lady.
Yeah,
whatever.
I love those. They're so, but it does have a noir sound. Like they play that, kind of mysterious. Don't they play like some?
Even that little piano is kind of a
I
simple
know,
little
right? It was
back and forth thing.
You should totally insert that
I
clip
will.
too. I hope you do.
Insert this clip
It's
here.
so hard.
Hi, I'm here to help you with your operation. I'm not undercover or anything.
Really? You must be the new guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a new guy. As a matter of fact, I operated by myself. But I thought I'd test him out, see if he knew what he was doing. Scalpel.
That's the pointy thing, right? I made my first mistake. But luckily, I was a quick thinker and I knew how to cover. Just kidding.
I was going to say that every time. It'll trigger me while I'm editing. To put it in there.
That's what I figured. But, she kind of did the same thing, though, in terms of composing. She took it and... Sorry, I had to disengage for a second. She took it and allowed the... play the instrument play? Like, what do you call it?
What do you call that person who they play the instrument. They play the music. Oh, musician. That's what it is. Musician. The musician. The player of the strings. The composer? No. One step removed from the player of the strings. Second cousin.
Yes, the musician.
Yeah.
That was total brain fart.
Don't worry. Every single time somebody would come on stage and start this is the part I dreaded about playing live. I love playing live. But every time, like, I'm a kind of person who plays by feel. Like, I go, my whole life is by feel, And so if it sounds cool, then it's cool. I'm not going to go, what is that pickup in there? And what is that wood they have? What do they make it out of? I'm just not that person, right? And in Core Factor, early Core Factor, Sean was that way, and that's why he helped balance me out.
Right.
But for me, like, people would come up and be like, hey, what do you got, a 5247P90? And I'm like, what? I turned it up and it sounds cool.
Like this. One time.
Turned it up. It was the coolest sounding one in the shop, so I had to have it.
I come, you go, we're fine, you know you'll be safe. I come, you go, wanna find little baby, best behave.
Straight 5150, and just a wah pedal. And it's just like
keeping it basic.
Yeah, and what was I saying about that? You were talking about the musicians.
Oh, because I couldn't remember the word for musicians.
But still, I couldn't ever remember what anything was, so I couldn't answer their questions. Yes, so go ahead.
Yeah, but I remember things, so it bothers me when I can't.
Well, that's true.
So, yes, the musicians. But she gave them kind of, I wouldn't say carte blanche. She didn't say that specifically, but she gave them a little bit of freedom to freelance.
Yeah.
Their style or freelance. Freestyle.
I think that the great thing about jazz is this kind of free form, freestyle, like it comes from like the heart. The music really kind of like informs the show versus the show informing the music.
Yes, totally.
Because part of that
she approached it from a jazz kind of, let me just give you the feeling of what I'm going for. And then she would go back and forth with them. Yeah, gave them some carte blanche to do what they want to do.
The concept of jazz. Yeah, she approached it from a simple perspective. She didn't go write the score by herself. She allowed the musicians to
influence.
Yes, that's exactly the word, and imbibe
which is awesome.
The composition with their, experience of either that or whatever input they were given.
Which is funny because I think we've watched on Through the Wormhole or How the Universe Works. There's been scientists on there who play jazz and they talk about it. They compare things.
Yep.
And it's the same kind of thing. Like, why it would be much better if you have all these little particles adding, all the little molecules adding to the pie. It's going to be, I just
that makes
read
sense about
that
why
book
jazz
that I just gave you.
The
what is it called? About the conversation when stakes are high.
Something. Yeah, how to have conversations when the stakes are high or something like that.
We read it at work. In there, they talk about the shared pool of knowledge. Like a decision is ultimately the outcome's going to be better if you can take in enough data of everybody, to add to that thing. It's the same kind of thing.
Yep, totally.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Boxers enjoying the show? If so, we encourage you to subscribe to the Boombox Music Talk feed wherever you consume your podcast content so you never miss an episode. Don't see us? Let us know, as we are always looking to expand our reach. Think about leaving us a 5-star rating and review. We know you hear that request a lot, and unfortunately, in the modern age where algorithms rule the world, it's a necessary evil, so we appreciate your time. If you'd really like to make a difference, consider supporting the show on Patreon. We don't do this for the money. It's a labor of love for sure. But at the end of the day, the shows aren't free to produce. They require time, energy, and money. So any help is always appreciated. Full credits for each episode are on our YouTube page at Boombox Music Talk. For a streamlined soundtrack experience, visit our Spotify page. And you can always reach those or any of our other socials via our website at boomboxmusictalk.com. Thank you for listening, and now, back to the show.
What's funny to me is that, we can talk about these different places where we heard jazz and it came from, but I don't think I would have I wouldn't have appreciated it as good this time around.
As good?
Thank you. We rewind that. Do take two. Noir, I said the exact. Take
2, Mark.
Boombox, Deconstructing, Cowboy Bebop, and go.
It was so good.
You know how, if you want to increase your vocabulary, start a podcast, because you'll realize that you only say the same 7 words over and over.
Repeatedly in different orders.
I got to think of some new words to say. That was cool. I liked it. Good, man. But I wouldn't have appreciated it as well or as much. I wouldn't have had as much appreciation.
You wouldn't have had the depth of appreciation for
jazz.
Insert word here.
Yes, if it wasn't for, I don't know, see if you will recognize.
Dun, 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 dun. That's what happens when you capture the flag on Mario.
Cowboy Bebop. All right, see if you may recognize this or you may not. Theme song.
Don't tell me it. I love it though.
So good.
Getting that swingy beat.
Yep.
Kind of feels like midnight.
It seems like
no matter what time of day you hear it.
Doing this, but it's super fun. That's what jazz is.
The perfect shenanigating music.
Yeah.
Can you send me that link?
Yeah, totally.
I feel my body in two different places. I'm still playing for both teams. Sometimes it feels I was born with two faces. I feel the smoke climbing down my cheek. I hear the jokes and I smell the...
No, what was that to?
It's the theme song for Bosch.
Is that Pussifer?
Nope.
Could totally be Pussifer.
But a hot shot cat from a North Van Guinea. What do you know? Cause the hip to the bull and the hip to the right. What do you know? And he up with the ass cause you ain't got a penny. What do you know? What you know about the ways on the underside? What do you know? What a hot shot cat from a North Van Guinea.
They could. I would love to hear a Pussifer version. It's they're called Caught a Ghost.
I know them. Blacklist.
Oh, okay.
I've captured a couple of songs from Blacklist. Cool. I love them. Awesome. I'm surprised I haven't heard that one. What's it called? The name of the song?
The song's called Can't Let Go.
Yeah.
It's from the Bosch
I think I might
show.
Actually have it saved now that you mention it. I just haven't heard it much. It's not on my faves, so I need to add that. That was fun.
Super fun.
I love shenanigating music.
Well, and speaking of shenanigating, Lost.
Do you have any idea how badly I want to kill you?
Yes.
One of these days, sooner or later, I'm going to find a loophole, my friend.
Well, when you do, I'll be right here.
Always nice talking to you, Jacob.
Nice talking to you, too.
The person in that shenanigated all that was the man in black, who was Titus Welliver, who played Harry Bosch.
Yeah, on Bosch. Yeah, totally.
He was brilliant. I mean, he knocked it out of the park. One of the best performances
I really need
of
to watch
a character.
That. I'm glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of keeping it simple, his performance is super just simple.
Low-key
and gets excited when it needs to, but it reads the room, and he just he's so cool in it.
Perfect
he's
execution.
So noir, so cool, but
he
mysterious.
Is very noir. I wonder if that's by design. Or if he even realized,
I wonder if we could take a side here and talk about intelligent design or God or what is the deal here? How did he become
esoteric
him?
Existentialism.
Well, jazz, that's what it is. It's existential. That's what Jason Silva, he always talks about his old videos were existential jazz.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting phenomenons of human beings is our creativity, right? I mean, our ability to transform the world, our ability to imagine new possibilities, our ability to probe the perimeters of possibility, remix the present, to see into the adjacent possible, which Stephen Johnson refers to as a shadow future that hovers over the present state of things, a map of all the ways in which the present can reinvent itself. Creativity is just connecting things, as Steve Jobs says. And people who go into this creative zone, virtuosos of the imagination, those ecstatic technicians of the sacred spaces of human virtuosity, athletes when they get in the zone, scientists when they have their eureka moments, musicians, artists when they enter these flow states, jazz musicians when they're improvising, Charlie Mingus as he rhapsodizes through a tumbling thicket of ideas with such a sharp and vital alacrity that it can take the breath away.
But jazz is a lot of times used to capture those existential loneliness moments of like thinking about stuff too.
Well,
and
being introspective. It's it kind of is introspective
inquisitive,
music. Inquisitive,
but about
definitely.
yourself sometimes. Existential that way. But anyway.
Interesting. But yes.
But speaking, of Lost, but that show in it. So Michael Connolly, the author of the Bosch series of books, writes this character as somebody who likes jazz. So in show they talk about jazz because he has a collection of it. He's always trying to talk to his daughter about why she should like it. And
I did watch some of that.
Yeah, I think you caught it every once in a while when I put it on.
I
at night
watched it in the bathtub, I think, a few times.
Oh yeah, probably.
So I'm not sure where I'm at in it, but yes, I do remember that being a thing.
So listening to them talk about it was kind of fun. It was like kind of teaching me about why I should appreciate jazz more.
Yeah.
And I always love doing that anyway, going deep dives on different kind of genres of music. But I wouldn't have chosen jazz. But it was so cool. It was so good with that show that I started going, okay, I understand. There's way more kinds of jazz. And just because I did rock music, what do you mean like fast-paced rock? Like, oh, it has to be Rush? That's rock music? Or actually what's even better is is that Yngwie Malmsteen? Is that Joe Satriani? It's got to be for it to be rock music? No, there's a bunch of fucking kinds, dumbass. What? I should have been more open to think of it like that.
Yeah, that there was a depth to it more than just this random freestyle.
Exactly.
That was unscripted or no patterns or, you know what I mean? Like no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, right.
That's not what it has to be.
Yes.
And now that that's been discovered.
I discovered the Dolums.
Yeah, actually, I like it a little.
Yeah, right. No, and it was just, I don't know, that show really, even just within it, not just them talking about it, but the feel of it, from them using it.
It was really fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And so then bring that back around.
It wouldn't have been the same without that music.
No, it
at
wouldn't.
All. Mm-mm.
And then so, and to bring that back around to now leading up to the relaunch of Cowboy Bebop and hearing that theme a second time now after watching the anime early on, was so fun. And what did it for me is one night I was watching, and now that you can do like Bluetooth from the Apple TV, and I had my Beats in, and I was listening to it. And when that theme came on, I was like, I was like, oh, I was like hearing all kinds of different things. Yeah, I was like, ooh, is that little shaker in there? What's that? And then, what is this guy doing over here on the bass? And wait, I can hear it slapping. Like I can hear the strings.
It's a very creative use of the instruments
sound.
too.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's fun about jazz is it's not all about just playing the typical way. There's a lot of creativity in how those instruments
come
are
together,
physically just played even.
Yes, exactly. That
like
too.
Independently by the musician, you know, like they don't approach it necessarily always from the classical manner of playing.
Yeah.
You know, they've figured out other unique sounds from utilizing different creative ways to play their instrument of choice.
The other part of what was kind of cool about this too, this experience is there was a musician named Grace Kelly, who's a jazz woman.
Yep.
Who I think was kind of a child prodigy a little bit, maybe, if I read it right.
Okay.
And it's pretty well known in the jazz community, right? But she got to play a part on Bosch in an episode. And so she wrote a piece for, they were going to this club and they had jazz playing, right? And she got to write the part, right?
Fun.
Yeah, check this out. I think you'll dig it. It's got a really cool feel to it. It's called Blues for Harry Bosch.
As soon as the bass kicks in, I'm just like, I'm in.
And those little chime, keyboard, whatever that is.
It does sound like chimes a little bit.
Oh, that bass though.
I know. Should have the intro music as that.
Those horns.
What is that?
That's that Blues for Harry Bosch song.
No, that.
Oh, I think it's a muted trumpet. Or actually, I think that's a sax. Yeah, that's sax.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Real soft.
Yep. It does
that's
sound
a
muted.
By right there.
That is a flutter by.
But it's kind of modern, you know.
Yeah.
It's jazz, obviously, but it's smooth and it's got this modern beat to it.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's just smooth.
Well, it's balanced too with the bass. I like the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still got that jazz slightly off existential piece to it. It's like, whoop, but just a little bit. Fall back into place. That bass, though, that stand-up bass.
I know, I love it.
Stand-up bass, badass.
Is that what it is? That's not a cello? Is that different?
Some cellos in there. What I'm hearing, I feel like it's a stand-up bass. There's a piano, too.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
It's the notes you don't play that are just as important, man.
Yep. Agreed.
So that's what's such Philly about it. That syncopation.
That's fun. What was that?
I don't know. That might be just a synth. I'm not sure what that was.
You're probably right.
Oh, that's a mean bass right there, though.
Yeah.
Oh, now you still got that piece that's like, hey, just in case you forgot, I'm actually a badass. So there's that. I'm just gonna leave that right
just
there.
Just because
and
it
we'll
seems random, here's a little of my badassery.
Yeah. Let me just run up and down this just for a second.
Well, it's like when the singers,
it's martial artists doing their moves. Like every once in a while, they'll bust something out, just let you know, like, bitch, I can just back off. I'm doing my thing, man. You know.
Well, it's like when the singers go off on a run. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And it's the same type of scaling. I love it.
Yeah, so that's Grace Kelly.
Impressive.
Her song from that show, she got to be in that scene. So it's probably a pretty fun
I bet
moment.
it was.
But what was not even cooler, but what was fun with that is Michael Connelly, the author for that series, said that he listens to her and gets inspired when he's writing.
Yeah.
Harry Bosch is a noir character.
Yeah.
That's why he likes jazz and he listens to it. Probably why he writes, I bet. And
it's very like, it's very Pink Panther, right?
Oh, it's so Pink Panther.
So wait,
I love it.
I want to play this thing too that's very Pink Panther-y. I think it's called Pink. Oh, yeah. It's beatbox. It's a Panther dance. And he's beatboxing.
Yeah, because you brought it up one time, but I'm not sure if we played it or not on here.
It's my theme song on my Facebook.
Jazz, man. Skit-scatting, all right.
With his tongue. With his mouth. I love that. That bass.
Yeah. That fifth note harmony right there. Ooh.
Love it. Feels so effing good.
Oh, so good.
So
That's
good.
Alice in Chains, baby.
I know. But it's so swanky.
So swanky.
Like floating under the radar.
Driving down the street.
Oh, I love it. I listen to this when I'm driving on my trips.
Yeah, I've just been editing the episode I did with Drew, and we talked about Trip Like I Do from Crystal Method. It's the same kind of feel. It feels just like this. That's Trip Like I Do.
fun.
Insert clip here.
Right.
That should be our t-shirt.
It should be. There he goes. I love it.
Just in case you forgot, I'm here.
I've heard this a few times. I cannot hear this
syncopation at the beginning of the Pink Panther theme is all about that syncopation of those notes you're not hitting. Like,
Yep.
It's so fun.
It is
so
the
fun.
in-betweens
Yeah.
put together and sounds amazeballs.
And see, this is jazz, and I would not have thought. I would have thought of this
If I'd
almost
heard
as
this when I was a
blues
kid,
more.
oh yeah, me too.
You know, and they're
Initially.
intertwined to a certain extent,
Right.
Sometimes, but it's jazz, baby. And Yoko Kanno's theme, kind of for her approach to this, was basically kind of like the Pink Panther theme.
Yeah.
Which was basically her quote was, she said, "I want the soundtrack to convey, well, life is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well." Because they, in that show, the Spike character, he's this badass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes he'll care about something and he'll get into it, but for the most part, he's just like, all right, whatever. Like he doesn't really want to be responsible for anything.
Yeah.
But he'll take care of stuff when he needs to. He'll come in and do what he needs to do. But he's just like, oh my god, whatever. And then, all right, move on. Like it's just all Zen, man. It's Zen Buddhism. And again, all this journey from anime, starting with Razafon and this jazz existentialism, all this all coming back to our Zen Buddhism journey, has been so fun.
Yep.
Like seeing how it all comes together.
It intertwines and interlaces.
Yeah.
And even when you look at her too, like watching her little interviews there, I mean, she carries herself that way.
She totally does.
She like flows.
Mm-hmm.
Her voice just like flows out of her mouth, and it's so like soft, and you have to really, it's like it captures you.
Yeah.
It's beyond just captivating. Like it literally grabs you, and it's like, you need to listen to what I have to say.
It's, you know what it is? I was just layering this clip in for the episode with Drew as well, with Alan Watts talking about, have you ever seen a badly designed wave? No,
Yeah.
they always
No.
do the right thing. That's what it is. Like you have to be like clouds. Like,
And even if you think
go
about
with the
that-
flow. Whatever decision you make doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have to make one. And you got to try. But it all comes out in the wash. Like you just got to do something and you got to move on and don't worry about it. And it all goes together. That's jazz, baby. Like, oh, messed up. Don't worry about it. Go jam.
There is no messing up in jazz.
no. I tripped up.
You got a
Jazz
lot
is
of
Dick
wiggle
Van
room
Dyke,
there,
man. You know, like. So what I wanted to do was hop on the mic with you and let's run through it. It's pretty short, but let's take a journey on the sound creation and just listen to it. Don't feel like you have to take everything in.
Yeah,
We're going to do it a couple times.
Okay.
So find something
and focus on
it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see what elements you pick out and see
Okay.
how they compare to mine.
All right. Let me get cozy and let me close my eyes for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. You want me to turn this lamp off?
No, I might fall asleep if you do that.
We got so zen that we fell asleep. We took a nap on the cloud.
We meditated.
Like clouds. Yeah. Yeah, I got to meditate for 15, 20 minutes, like, oh, really? Because you were snoring through about 3/4 of that. Well, it's
part of the breathing exercises. Breathing out the negative.
You're not used to my cadence. Once you do it a couple of times, you'll see the snore pattern.
Right. Instead of the score pattern, right? Yeah, the snore pattern.
So this run through, you can tell me, I'm curious to see what you pick out.
On the run. Already. Started off on the run.
Which that's what they're bounty hunters, and they go out and collect bounty. They go capture people.
Are those quads? I love quads.
Get everybody in the stuff together.
When I think of quads, I think of my legs.
Of course you do. I think of roller skates from the 80s. Before blades. Now this sounds investigative.
Yeah, totally. It's Pink Panther, man.
It's like Stakeout. It is Pink Panther. I just picture him walking around with a magnifying glass. Definitely a lot of percussion. This sounds like Getaway music.
Yeah, they just got onto the boat right then.
Yeah, I was exactly picturing that. Oh my gosh. Have you seen that movie, The Tourist, with Angelina Jolie and
No, I need to check that one out.
Johnny Depp. Yeah, so it's kind of retro, and I don't remember what the music is like, what the score is like in that. However, that's what I was picturing when I was listening to this. I think that's the name of the movie.
Thanks for coming to Saturday Night Live.
I know. That's what I hear too. That's
all those
funny.
parts coming together.
Yep. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
That was perfect timing.
That was perfect timing.
Good job.
Yeah.
As usual.
Let's see if we can catch it at time. All right. So to me, here's kind of what I was hearing. Great feel of that drum just then.
Yeah.
But now this bass, like what I hear the actual strings on the right side, or maybe it's the left. I'm backwards. Left
it's
side.
The left side for me.
And you actually hear the strings of them, like a mic set up to capture the string sound. Mm-hmm. You're not trying to get the notes. You're trying to hear the slapping.
Exactly. Yep, I'm picking that.
And it's jamming.
It is so jamming.
It reminds me of Korn when Korn first came out. And one of the things was they would capture his mic bass, him slapping.
Yeah,
so they heard that's what made Korn so unique when they first came out.
Slap at the bass, mama.
But that's what I was saying earlier about the unique use of the instruments, not an orthodox way to go about creating that,
Yeah.
And you hear that piano trill, like from
in that part when you said the getaway thing right there, I guarantee you that's intentional, obviously, right? Like they strings come in, or not, I don't know, horns, whatever, but to carry you, literally lift you up. Oh, we're going okay, we're okay now.
It's that hopeful getaway. Like, am I getting away?
Now those congas.
Yes.
Are just jamming the whole.
I know. That's
song.
the first thing that I noticed. That's the first thing I picked up on. Well, outside of the horns, that's obvious, but.
Yes, the horns are obviously great. They're horns.
Right. So powerful.
And here, this is almost like it all comes out in the wash. Like she said at the end.
Yeah.
Or did I say that?
Hey, buddy. Yeah.
Hey, buddy. All right.
You know what that reminds me of? That Michael Scott, the Post-it note scene, right? When Ryan's visiting and Pam brings in the Post-it note.
Yeah, you got a call from somebody.
Yeah, and it was supposed to make him look important.
Insert clip here.
And it says, hey, buddy. And then Ryan insists that he takes the call, so he picks up the phone and he says,
hiya, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Hiya, buddy.
I love it.
I do too.
All right, one more time.
Yep, let's do it.
Now, check out the way she steps. It's musical. All right, now. Once it kicks into the groove. Got the bass going. But ready? A shaker.
Oh, I know.
Shaker kicks
I
in.
totally hear it.
Now just listen
Gives
to
you
that
a
play for
sense of
second.
urgency.
Just listen to that shaker.
Time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the step together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Which is not easy to do, by the way. If you've ever actually tried to use a shaker in
it's a lot of
rhythm
energy
with somebody the whole time and not get off, it's a whole rhythm. It's a whole
It's like a tick.
physicality.
You
The
have to-
physicality is at 8.8.
You are the tick.
And it's just so simple. Like you don't even really, you don't hear these individual things like that. You don't realize that you're hearing a shaker necessarily. You just feel it carrying you on, you know? Or I didn't. You know, you don't immediately go to that, you know?
Right.
But those congas, man.
The shakers almost sound like little foot patters.
Yeah, exactly.
Like kind of running discreetly.
Yep. Well, notice you don't hear the siping of the bass right now either.
Right.
So, we might have got away. We get away from that scary stuff going on.
The sense of doom from the deepness.
Nope. It's back now. Shit. We got to keep going.
Got to zig instead of zag.
Yeah, exactly. We will waggle. To the left. To the left.
Yeah. Now slide, baby, slide.
Exactly. It's great.
Yep.
Also,
that's a little bit of gloating right there.
Going back to what you said, though, she gives a lot of credit to the people. She formed a jazz band called what are they called? The Seatbelts, which is
You're
great.
gonna need a seatbelt.
Yeah, exactly. But she
It's very action-packed.
depends on them a lot. She would give them things like, cues and direction, obviously, and lay things out for them. She obviously is writing it, but they got to add their piece to it, like you were talking about.
Well, they
earlier.
got to add their own energy to it, like their own perception of those things independently to each element.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about, like, when you combine the magnitude of this endeavor, let's just say, because we're speaking about, Yoko currently, it's a massive undertaking, for it to be cohesive.
Yeah.
Right, because you don't want it to sound like a cacophony.
Yeah, right.
A racket,
It's a fine line.
That's grating to the nerves, right?
It's cool. Let everybody do what they want. It sounds like an orchestra is starting at the beginning. They're all tuning up.
Yeah.
That's not real great. You should have given them some direction.
Yeah. But that's
But no, it's
almost
great.
in a way what she said, though, in that part where she was talking about when she was mentioning, allowing them a little bit of autonomy in their freestyle, not like a full carte blanche, right? Like I said early on. She wanted to incorporate the passion of a lot of different perspectives, and it was a genius approach, I feel like. And she was able to piece it together cohesively to where, those elements can convey and convert different perspectives to the audience, though, now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because of that. because of multiple perspectives and consumption and then perception, consumption of the information and then perception and production of that, from each individual musician.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant,
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think she was, in a way, it's less is more. And while it's still complex, when you break it down, you can totally see, the type of approach that she took with this project,
Yeah.
So I think it was the exact perfect way to go. You know what I mean?
So I think to kind of sum that up to me is the whole thing has been kind of a learning experience for me since I discovered anime.
Mm-hmm.
It has taught me so much about I remember one of the things I loved about it was the kind of the philosophy of it all.
Where's Spike? Can you help me track him down?
All living things, every being that walks and breathes, each has its own star.
Huh?
When a life is born, a new star appears. That is the guardian star. The star that warms this planet is someone's guardian star as well. The red star you see overhead, the blue star on the horizon. And when a life ends, the star falls and disappears.
Don't say that.
You running rock.
That's not my name. Don't call me that.
His star is about to fall. I have dreamed it.
This is ridiculous. What am I doing here?
Do not fear death. Death is always at our side. When we show fear, it jumps at us faster than light. But if we do not show fear, it casts its eye upon us gently and then guides us into infinity.
And being able to scratch that itch a little bit and seeing all these pieces come together. And that's really kind of what we've been talking about. And so, I don't know, I wanted to kind of...
It's almost like piecing together
show some
each
appreciation for
musician's-
jazz.
Yeah, for sure. Because, well, for a while, because I was a late bloomer, and it wasn't really a preference, like you said, that I would go to, I almost feel like I would avoid it sometimes.
I know, me
because I
too.
didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily understand it fully now. I
Yeah.
haven't
No,
had
right.
someone's direct, input who's directly involved.
Yeah, unless you have a cowboy that dances country western really well.
Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke.
Oh my god, it's so funny. But I do feel like I have a much better understanding now. It's almost like a collection of each musician's independent story.
Yeah.
Based on whatever input, whether in this scenario it's from Yoko, or that production, the director, whatever. But in any event, it's each individual's, individual musician's perception of those things, their story of they're putting it in through their craft.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fantastic approach to that.
So, any closing thoughts that you've got before we wrap up?
I think this was a really positive commentary. I think that I will now go seeking some of that, particularly with the modern touch. But now I have a much better understanding and appreciation now that we've been able to break down a lot of those elements, and also from a specific composer's perspective that, what was I saying?
Oh,
and
man.
that wraps up.
Yeah, exactly. So,
genius
for Boombox Music Talk, I'm Mark.
And this is Krish.
And we urge you to enjoy the journey.
And stay zen.
And lots of different styles too.
Yeah.
From different.
And there's
whatever
probably
anime she's doing or whatever's going on.
Different infusions and influences, and that's fine. Because like even with the Congos or Congo,
like when you're out in the wild, you hear
you mean like
Tarzan,
in Africa?
like oh.
No, like the Congos and I think.
What's that doing? What is that? Oh, that's
no idea.
Good, the bad, the ugly.
Oh, that's
theme.
funny.
Speaking of themes.